if you live in Canada, specifically Ontario, you are most likely a miserable fuck. Even if you're a sheep who believes in the media, you're probably still miserable to some extent. You're sick of these fucking mandates, these lockdowns, these fucking restrictions. You're probably depressed, contemplating suicide. Suicide is skyrocketing despite them trying to tell you, oh, we care about your health, while doing absolutely nothing to protect your health. Yeah, it's fucking disgusting. And our truckers have finally gotten fed up and said, you know what, if you don't stop these fucking mandates, you ain't getting your food. And it's good so far what they're doing. They're driving the convoy, starting in Vancouver, passing through Ontario, and going straight to Ottawa to protest. I don't know if this will work, but it's not even about if it'll work or not. I mean, that is obviously the goal here, but just the fact that it's happening. Just the fact that it's happening, the fact that people are waking up, the fact that people are getting fed up, the fact that people are done, the fact that Trudeau may, I know he won't actually care, but he may have to say, fine, we'll let it go, just please bring us our food, because you know what? Truckers are kind of our fucking lifeblood here. Without truckers, we don't get supplies of food to grocery stores. And a lot of other fucking things, okay? They are literally our resources. So I want to say thank you to all of the passionate truckers who have put our freedom above anything else, including themselves. With that being said, let's take a look at some of these articles. Trucker Convoy raises millions in funds as vaccine-hesitant supporters flock to cause. So, you know, of course, all of these left-wing, lying, mainstream articles have to lie, so let me just clear up every bullshit they say, starting off with the title, vaccine-hesitant. First of all, let me just tell you what that term even means. Vaccine-hesitant is just their hidden word for factual person who doesn't trust us because we've lied multiple times, okay? Vaccine-hesitant people are not anti-vaxxers or even anti-maskers. At least most of them aren't. What they are people who have done months of research, seen the lies, seen the fact that all these things don't work, but yet they keep trying them anyway because they're literally fucking insane. Seen the lies, the double standards, the contradictions, and said, I'm fucking fed up. I'm not even going to get it because I'm sick of being lied to. Okay? They're not hesitant. Stupid fucks. A group of truckers has garnished millions in fundraising dollars from droves of supporters as it drives across the country to protest vaccine mandates and lockdowns and restrictions, despite the vast majority of big riggers having been jabbed and one expert warning of Okay, one thing at a time. I can only handle so much bullshit in one shot. I love this. I love how they're trying to make it a selfish thing because these fucking people are selfish, so they think everyone is selfish. Despite the vast majority of big riggers having been jabbed. The convoy is not because of the other truckers who haven't been jabbed. It is partially for them, but not completely, you dumb shit. This convoy is for the freedom of everybody in Canada, not just other unvaccinated truckers. It's for everybody. It's for everybody who's unvaccinated, and you know what else? It's also for vaccinated people who were told that they would get their freedom back, and then once they got vaccinated, didn't get their fucking freedom. They were lied to, and they were dumb enough to believe the lie in the first place, and are now pissed off because they were lied to. It's for everybody, you dumbass. Owner Wendy said she believes vaccination is unnecessary, and she's right. The majority of people who have COVID now are literally vaccinated fucking people. Okay? They are. It's a fact. I know you don't like those, but anyway. It doesn't seem to be working very well, does it? No. You've got people that are double and even triple vaxxed, and they're still getting Omicron. That's right. And the people who have no doses are actually getting it less. And not only that, but let's also specify more facts that lockdowns are literally just causing more death, not specifically from the virus, but because of things like depression, anxiety, and suicide. But as long as you don't get COVID, you can kill yourself. That's perfectly fine. We just don't want you to die from COVID because we care about you so much. Oh, you hung yourself in your apartment because you were depressed? That's okay. Like, we don't fucking care. As long as you didn't get COVID! Like, I'm so fucking sick of these people. I'm definitely against the mandates, as we all should be, anybody who's rational, and I'm way more than skeptical. Here we go. Some organizers and associated groups in the campaign behind the protest convoy appear to have links to conspiracy theories and far-right ideologies. No, they don't. Again, let me specify for people who don't know. The term far-right is also just a code word for anyone who's factual and goes against the system and believes in the truth, like the media is dishonest and things like that. If you're a person who's intelligent, they just automatically call you far right, even if you don't even have a political stance at all. But to be fair, there is some partial truth to this. Apparently, this woman believes in mostly true things, but she also believes in the whole 5G thing, which is admittedly insane. But the thing is, let me just clear up why they're even bringing this up. Instead of attacking her for the idea of the convoy, they've decided to look into her past and say, oh yeah, but she believes in 5G. They do that when they have no facts against what a person is doing, so they look into their past or other ideas that are completely irrelevant to what they're talking about and going, well, the convoy might be a good thing, but she believes in 5G, so she's automatically a bad person. Don't listen to her, okay? Ignore the point, okay? Ignore the main point, because this point all the way over here makes her look bad. Anyway, let's move on to more craziness. A GoFundMe has raised more than $800,000 to support the truckers, and fundraiser organizer Tamara Litch demands the government stop all mandates. Good. To our fellow Canadians, the time for political overreach is over. Agreed. She says our current government is implementing rules and mandates that are destroying the foundation of our businesses, industries, and livelihoods. Yes, exactly. People are dying of suicide, anxiety, and depression, as I've already said. Businesses are being shut down left and right. Despite the fact that people are working less and losing their businesses, they're being charged more money because of inflation. Rent is going up. Groceries are going up. Cost of living overall is going up while everybody is losing money. Like, in a perfect world where sane people actually run it, which is never going to happen, you would think as people get more money, then you increase the cost. But no, what they're actually doing is increasing the cost of living as people are losing their jobs, losing their businesses, losing their sanity, and they're just sitting back laughing because Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau have all the money they want, so what the fuck do they care? What the fuck does Fidel Justin Trudeau Castro care? While this protest has gotten attention and funds, they actually represent a minority of truck drivers. I'm sorry, is that supposed to be a positive line? Don't worry! It's only a minority of truck drivers. Actually, that's bad. I'm glad the convoy has a lot of truck drivers, but that's not a good thing. We want as many people with brains as possible. Okay? Look at this. The CTA does not support the protest. Well, fucking good for you. Like, who fucking cares? Like, you actually think you're doing something good by not helping? And this right here is the best paragraph of the whole fucking thing. The CTA told the Globe and Mail more than 80% of truckers are vaccinated, and that the protesters are a small group of drivers are in news for their refusal to join the civil part of civil society. Imagine actually believing that people who believe the mainstream media is honest, who believe Justin Trudeau is honest, who believe Doug Ford is a good person, who believe that lockdowns work despite them failing 4 times, who believes a dictatorship of mask mandates and vaccine passports are a good thing. Imagine thinking that those fucking people are the civil ones. But the people saying this, all I want is to get my business back. I want to go back to work. I want to be able to get the vaccine or wear a mask if I choose to, while other people who choose not to are allowed to do so if they wish. That is what freedom of choice is all about. Speaking against masks or vaccines or mandates is just freedom of speech, and I'm allowed to have any opinion I want. And if I see facts about people who are literally dying or getting sick after getting the vaccine, I should be allowed to say that. I should not be banned or censored or have my content deleted just because I pointed out a fact that the mainstream media and big tech wants to censor. I should have the right to free speech, free expression, and freedom of choice, and I should also have the right to my business, my job, and my ability to maintain my home, pay my rent, take care of my family, and buy groceries. Imagine thinking that those people are the ones who are not civil. GoFundMe has frozen access to more than $4.7 million in funds raised by the Trucker Convoy, now wending its way across country toward Ottawa in a protest against vaccine mandates. We require that fundraisers be transparent. So their excuse for freezing the fund is that, oh, it's not transparent. Listen, you may have tricked stupid people, but intelligent people know for a fact the actual reason why you froze the funds is because you're trying to make it so that truckers have no money while they're doing the convoy and give up. That's why you're actually doing it, but sure, I'll still read your bullshit excuse. Transparent about the flow of funds and have a clear plan for how those funds will be spent. Even though they did. In this case, we are in touch with the organizer to verify that information. Bull. Rachel, a spokeswoman for the crowdfunding platform, said in an email, funds will be safely held until the organizer is able to provide the documentation to our team about how funds will be properly distributed. What a fucking liar. Tamara launched the campaign on January 14th. It states that the money will go towards fuel as well as food and lodging for big riggers taking part. So Tamara literally said where the funds are going to go, and Rachel said, well, I'm gonna have to freeze the funds because you didn't specify where it's going. Imagine thinking that she's not lying. It's gonna get worse. Check out what this officer recently said.
Shows a uniformed officer expressing support for the truckers who are opposing the federal vaccine mandate.
Hey there. So I'm Constable Erin Howard. Coming to you from Ontario, Canada. I really wanted to give a shout out to all the truckers. I think what you guys are doing is incredible. You're fighting for our rights and freedoms. And right now it feels like we're a little bit at war and those rights and freedoms are at stake.
She is completely right. I mean, what else do you want me to say? Every word that she just said is right, rooted in reality, factual, correct, 100%. And as we know, when you say something that's factual and correct, it doesn't get taken lightly. So here's what I think the sergeant of her police force said.
Well, we were made aware of a video that's circulating on social media depicting one of our officers. And I know that the views expressed on this video does not represent the Durham Regional Police Service, and we are...
Don't worry. We would never support your freedom, okay? What this woman said is not supported by the remainder of the police station, okay? We do not support your freedom. No, this woman is supporting your freedom. She is an evil piece of shit. Freedom is evil. We do not support her or her views. Fuck your freedom. Don't worry. We're with you.
Are looking into the matter.
We're looking into the matter. We're looking into her for supporting freedom. When I was a kid, I never thought I would live in a world where somebody saying I support freedom would be met with, we're looking into this evil piece of shit. Let me tell you something. Even if she's wrong, okay? Let's assume that the truckers are wrong, the convoy is wrong, she's wrong, the cop, Trudeau is the all-knowing God, and just the government overall is the all-knowing God. Let's assume all of that is true. Okay? She should still have the fucking right to express her fucking opinion. But we don't live in that world anymore. We don't live in a world of sense. That we left that a long time ago. While Canada cracks down on Indigenous and Black protesters, since when? White supremacists get a free pass in Canada. Just look at the convoy. Yes, please, let's do look at the convoy. Intelligent people know that whenever something true happens, whenever something good happens, but it's not what SJWs desire, the mainstream media tries to convince the world that what you're seeing is bad. How do they do this? They simply call it, they simply say, you see that thing, everybody? That thing is alt-right. And all the stupid CNN sheeple go, I understand. It is alt-right. Therefore, it is bad. I will not do research. You are my master. Everybody who disagrees with me is alt-right, a right-wing extremist. I know I am also a left-wing extremist myself, but that's okay because it's left-wing. I follow all of your words. I will drink your Kool-Aid, Jim Jones. I promise. And that's what all the extremist, leftist, CNN-watching morons say. People are convinced that the right is all white people, supposedly, which, by the way, if you believe that, that's literally part of your brainwashed conditioning. Like, you literally believing that is evidence of your brainwashing. That's what it is. But if we look at any form of facts, you'd see how wrong you are. And we've seen evidence of this with BLM multiple times. In fact, I'm even going to show you a little meme picture that perfectly illustrates this truth. Check this one out. Aftermath of the worst attack since the Civil War. Nothing. Aftermath of a mostly peaceful protest. And if you don't know what that's from, I've memed about it a lot actually. But if you don't know, it comes from when CNN was calling the BLM riots fiery but mostly peaceful. But what the picture is trying to say, if you're too stupid to get it, is that the top one is January 6th, which, again, part of your conditioning, you've been convinced that January 6th was an attack on democracy. And you've also been convinced that BLM is peaceful because CNN told you it was. But if you focus on reality, you'd see that BLM has burned down multiple cities and caused billions in damage. Whereas January 6th was just people who believed that there were some election problems, which is a perfectly fine belief to have, and wanted to protest it. And they actually were peaceful. There were no fires sent. It actually was mostly peaceful. I agree that some people got out of hand, but compared to BLM, it was nothing. This picture illustrates what CNN wants you to believe, and your brain processes it as not only true, but bad. Like, it's fucking wild, right? So, again, back to this insane article, man. Like, people, just like the author here, believes that black protesters are being cracked down on, even though BLM riots are funded, supported, encouraged, and reported on as good. Oh, and called peaceful when they're actually riots. But when conservatives or white people do things like protest the election peacefully, or engage, join the convoy, which is also peaceful, and do just other peaceful things, they're called right-wing extremists, Nazis, conspiracy theorists, and lunatics. The reason why they're called that is not because they are. It's because the media wants to convince you that they are. In the media's mind, it goes, well, if we tell people that the convoy is insane, then they won't join it, out of fear of being called insane themselves. That's all it really is. And it's the same thing with BLM. They are riots, most of the time. But as long as the mainstream media can say, don't worry, it's peaceful, go, we want more people there, it fits their narrative. Justin Trudeau. Holy fuck. Where do I start? So he faked, well, he actually didn't fake COVID. It was really funny, actually. What he did was he put a fucking tweet out saying that he might have been around somebody who had it, got tested himself, came back negative, but he's still going to isolate. Which, by the way, is funny because, first of all, we know the reason he's isolating is just so that he doesn't have to go near Parliament. That's the actual. He's just afraid of the convoy. We know this. But what I find funny about his tweet is that if he's gonna lie, why not just say, I have COVID? A lot of people might say, well, Matt, he didn't say that because he doesn't have it and he's not lying. But he is, and let me tell you why. First of all, he is afraid to go near Parliament, okay? Otherwise, he wouldn't have had this COVID scare 2 days before they arrived. Don't even tell me that's a coincidence, fuck off. But the reason why he said, I'm isolating despite being negative, is because he wants to be able to isolate while also not telling people, I am a person who had 2 shots and a booster and still got COVID. That's why. That's the actual reason why he put that tweet out. He wants to hide while still saying, everything's fine, this works. That's why he did that. He's just such a fucking lunatic. There was also when he said that truckers are a fringe minority with unacceptable views and don't represent Canadians. All 3 of those are wrong. Fringe minority? I don't think so, buddy. First of all, politicians are the minority. The hundreds of thousands of people in Ottawa and the hundreds of thousands of people who lined the streets as the convoy was driving by, they're the majority, you fuckwit. They are not a minority, they are not fringe, and they're also not some fucking Nazi extremists. You know why? Because there's literally people of all races in that convoy. The very first truck to arrive in Ottawa was driven by a fucking Sikh. You fucking idiot. And all of you dumbasses who believe CNN. 2. Unacceptable views. Yes, freedom is unacceptable. And people actually eat that up and agree with it these days. Oh man, fuck our lives. And then finally, don't represent Canadians? Well, I guess it's easy to say that when you deliberately pan the camera towards where there's less people, where there's millions of people behind you. Yes, they actually did that when CTV and CBS were reporting on the fucking convoy. They were deliberately filming where there was less people to give the impression that nobody cares. Meanwhile, the majority of the country actually fucking hates you, buddy. They fucking hate you, and they support the convoy. They really do. Anyway, other shit he did, they tried to close the bridge to enter Ottawa, and then some people who were reporting on the street found out that some of the gas stations stopped selling gas to the truckers so that they couldn't make it to Ottawa. The craziness never ends. But with all that being said, let's get into this fucking article. Imagine a Canada where land defenders opposing the ecological threat of their homelands are met with violent police and assault rifles. Yeah, they're called white people. We're the ones who are attacked for our beliefs. If you're black, you get supported. If you're white, you get called a racist on TV. Fuck off. Where black people demanding meaningful inclusion in a pride parade incurs the wrath of a country because they spoke about a parade they weren't invited to. What? First of all, the parade went from being, Pride Day to Pride Week. Now it's Pride Month, and it's supported and advertised everywhere, but sure, go off, you idiot. Where black and indigenous people who are exercising their rights to protest, well, if you're talking about BLM, it's a riot, not a protest, are routinely monitored by the RCMP, seen as threats to the state. Seen as threats? CNN literally goes on TV with buildings on fire behind them and says, yep, this is peaceful. What? Are you on Earth or are you on some other planet? Where truck drivers ram their pickups through protest lines, never happened, they're just driving fucking to Ottawa, or decorate their vehicles with violent and racist language. Okay. This fucking idiot. Have you actually seen the convoy? Have you even watched one video of the convoy? Even one? Because if you actually look at the trucks that are driving, a lot of them do have signs on the trucks, and some of the signs say no mandates, or freedom, or, you know, bring back Canada, or stuff like that. Not a single one of them says anything about race or nothing. I haven't seen one truck. And even if there is one or two lunatic truck drivers who did put a message like that on their truck, fuck them. I agree with fuck those people. But the majority of trucks, which we should be focusing on, just wrote messages about freedom and free speech and free choice and things like that. But then again, we live in a world where free speech and free choice is probably actually considered racist, so why am I even bothering? Threaten to gridlock the nation's capital or overthrow it. It's a fucking protest to get our freedom back. Unlike BLM, they're not gonna fucking burn anything down. But then again, I mean, let's just put this into perspective. If the truck drivers were actually Black Lives Matter supporters and then burnt down the parliament, you would literally call them, like, Civil War patriots. You would. You fucking would. But because they're, well, what you call white people, even though they're not all white, and they're not all conservative either, but because you think they are, because the media told you they were, automatically it's bad. Got it. This is the current reality, Canada, and it's ugly. I love how Canada is actually turning into the US. Let me tell you something. Canada's news has always been very minimal. In fact, most Canadians literally focus on American news. You know why? Because Canada is usually fucking boring and our media is not as dishonest as the US's media is. But the convoy is the first piece of news, probably ever, that is actually big, and is something so big that not only are Canadians talking about it, but Americans are talking. Even Trump mentioned it. This is like our biggest news ever. And because probably for the first time ever, Canada actually has big news that's also important, it causes idiots like this to act like American journalists and straight up lie. This is our current reality, Canada, and it's ugly. Yeah, doing something right for once makes us ugly. Got it. This convoy, which I refuse to link with truckers or freedom, you are criminally stupid, shows us who is allowed to speak up in this country and who will be arrested. I'm amazed at how badly written this is. The first problem is she believes that all the truckers are white. Just blatantly wrong. 2, she seems to have forgotten everything that BLM has done and gone through, caused. Like, what? This week has shown that violent groups of white supremacists, literally, it's not even a wrong sentence. Every word was wrong. They're not violence, they're not all white, and they're not supremacists. Fucking incredible. Proudly waving Confederate flags in the nation's capital are given that privilege. Please show... maybe there was some, fine, but I didn't actually see any Confederate fucking flags. And again, even if there was some, the majority don't actually have Confederate flags. I'm just talking about the truckers who went there just to try to get Canada back to the people. That's it. If you think that's racist, please, can you please just leave the country? Actually, no. I got a better idea. If you want to fight to keep us forever in prison, you stay here. I'll fucking go. Another example of racism in this country. This just shows that our skin color automatically makes us more threatening than those who spend a week destroying infrastructure. You mean BLM? I know you're referring to the truckers, but in reality, if what you said was to be accurate, you'd be talking about BLM. And openly threatening to unseat our democratically elected leader. The idea of protecting... Did Trudeau write this? Do you work for Trudeau? This has got to be the dumbest author I've ever seen in my entire life. Where people in this convoy are fighting for their barely articulated concepts of freedom and an end to mandates. I don't know why mandates is in quotes. Like, it's literally a fucking mandate, you stupid dumbass. Like, by its literal definition. She puts freedom in quotes too, which is just incredible. But Apparently, it's the truckers and the majority of Canadians who have a bad concept of freedom. Okay, well let's define it. To truckers and people like me, freedom means the ability to choose whether if I want something injected into me, to choose if I want to wear something, to choose if I get to go into a certain store or event or whatever and enjoy my entertainment, buy groceries, whatever. Choice. It all comes down to choice and not having things forced down my throat like a fucking priest with a young boy. So, fuck me. Okay. Your concept of freedom, I think, is what you think it is. I don't know. Your concept of freedom is following all of the rules set by crazy, literal, medically proven psychopaths who keep doing the same thing over and over and over again for 2 consecutive years while still believing for some reason that it will work and trusting the people who put it in place and thinking that they will give you your freedom back if you just trust them a few more times, despite the fact that they've already been proven to have lied to you over 20 to 30 times. So, I won't even say anything. You tell me which example, the first one I gave or the second one I gave, is closer to the actual definition of freedom. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but I will say that if you chose the second option, you're a fucking idiot. However, would we peacefully do this, since when? Taking great care to not even hint at violence, BLM caused $2 billion in damage, but okay, that's not violent. I guess it's not violent because you're black. Got it. We are dehumanized, criminalized, subject to state violence, and sometimes even killed. Well, I hate to break it to you, but if you are going to riot with BLM and actually kill people, as well as cause $2 billion in damage to the city, yeah, you should probably be arrested, because that's a crime. But driving a truck to Ottawa, that's just not a fucking crime. It just isn't. I mean, you can tell yourself, you can have CNN tell you all you want that driving a truck to Ottawa is a crime or a terrorist attack, but it fucking isn't. But the thing is, if CNN tells you that it is, you'll believe them because they're CNN and you're fucking brainwashed and brain dead. First thing we're going to point out is that Justin Trudeau is an absolute fucking dirtbag. He is a disgrace to this country, like, beyond anything, beyond way past our wildest dreams. And they have done quite literally everything to stop this convoy, but I'm very, very happy that the truckers and all the protesters are holding the line. They have not let up. It's been almost 2 weeks out in the cold. Families and kids even going. It's honestly beautiful. I wish Ottawa wasn't so far away. I would fucking go myself. This is just great. What's not great, though, is what they've done to stop them, which is effectively everything. They've tried. There's been word about them even shutting down phone lines so that they can't use their phones, because a lot of the people who are there are taking videos to counteract the lies that the mainstream media is telling. So they're taking live videos with their phones on TikTok and stuff. And they thought, okay, so the best way to shut that down would be, let's shut off a couple phone towers and literally not allow people to use their phones or record while they're there. There was news about that happening. They're lying about swastikas and Confederate flags in Canada, hilarious. They've done things like close gas stations, close off roads, arrest people, put in laws that they can't honk. What else? They've done they've made it so that people cannot bring in gas cans. So what these amazing people, I love these people, they are just so fucking great. And they're also very smart. What they did to get around the whole gas can thing is that everybody, not just the truckers, but everybody started bringing in literal gas cans that they were drinking from so that the cops couldn't tell which ones had water in it and which ones had gas in it, so they couldn't take any of them. Otherwise, they're taking their drinks. So some of them were hidden within the drinking ones with actual gas, and they were filling up trucks. It's just fucking genius what they're doing there. But as smart as they are and how long they've held out, it does not change that they are being stopped by the mainstream media and our government at every conceivable corner to make them look bad. It's utterly crazy. I found these two incredible videos, one with Sean Hannity going after Trudeau and one with Tucker Carlson going after Trudeau.
Of the North, that would be the gutless and cowardly Justin Trudeau.
Absolutely, gutless and cowardly. Thank you, Sean.
Even members of his own far-left party are now starting to turn on him.
Yes, I actually saw videos of within Parliament a couple days ago. I'm not sure if you guys can find it. I don't know where it was myself. I just saw a clip, and it was great. Some of the people in the House were the same people that were doing the whole ethics commissioner bit. That is fucking hilarious. And a lot of people, even on the liberal side, are starting to turn on Trudeau. This is a fucking blessing. It is a fucking miracle that even some of the leftist idiots have straight up been like, you know what? Maybe the protesters are right. And they turned on Trudeau. This is like, thank you, whatever higher power allowed this.
Over his needless attempts to further divide Canadians.
Yep, and I mean, obviously Trudeau is the one doing that recently, but for anybody who doesn't know, this is not a new thing. It is not new to divide people. Division is literally how everything is created in our world. And it's not even just in Canada, it's obviously in the US, it's not just through politics, it's through everything. The way to make people brainwashed, compliant, and trust the government is by making regular people turn against each other. Because the reality is, it's the people versus the government, and it has been for a long time. This is not just the last 5 years, this is a long time in our history. But what the media does and what our government does is to make you believe that the government is not the enemy. They make people turn against each other. This is done through all political things. You know, being right-wing versus left-wing is created based on that. Skin color is created based on that. Just the basic concept of Black Lives Matter rioting, but blaming white people, calling white people pieces of shit, and calling black people victims. All of these things were created specifically for the purposes of making people turn on each other. Not the people turning on the government, but people turning on each other. Education does the same thing. Religion does the same thing. And but in our most recent times, at least here in Canada, Sean Hannity is right that this is what Trudeau is trying to actively do. He is, if you need me to explain it in literal words, I will. Trudeau knows that he's the problem. He knows that the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, is the problem. So he's trying to make it so that instead of the people turning on him, what he's doing is saying, hey, healthcare workers, you guys are the ones who are right. You're the ones following the science and have been brainwashed. Taught that the CDC is telling you the truth and Dr. Fauci is the lord of the medical world. But the truckers over here, they're racist, misogynist, white supremacist, evil, far-right neo-Nazis. Hate them. Don't hate me. You don't want freedom, right? You don't want freedom. Freedom bad. Hate these people over here. That's what he's been doing, and any rational person knows that.
To push draconian COVID rules. Now, one Liberal member of Parliament from Quebec saying, quote, this politicization of the pandemic risks undermining the public's trust in our public health institutions. Meanwhile, Trudeau continues to call the truckers every name in the book. He refuses to meet with them, refuses to address any of their valid concerns about...
Correct. Thank you for also calling them valid concerns. I appreciate that.
...mandates. So, what's it going to take for this far-left failure to wake up?
I also like that he's calling far left because they are always throwing around the buzzword of far right, far right, far right. It's nice to say far left for once and have it actually be accurate.
Get up off his ass and finally do what is right. Talk to the truckers, come to a compromise, which would likely be you lose and the mandate.
Yes!
Is pathetic, a spineless excuse for a leader. And in this moment, by the way, the truckers of the world are uniting. And by the way, they're all putting a positive impact on ending draconian mandates.
Definitely very positive because for those of you who might be watching footage from the convoy. I appreciate you because that means you have a brain. It's very important to make sure you watch video footage for actual proof and not just read about it from the fucking mainstream. If you actually watch video footage, you will see various things like food has not been stolen from anybody. In fact, they are actually cooking food on the side of the fucking road and giving it away for free. There's no Confederate flags, no swastikas. They lied about the Terry Fox statue. There's even kids there, and there are multiple people there who are not white. We have all kinds of protesters of every skin color. We have truck drivers of every skin color. And unfortunately, all the mainstream media has to do is type up an article saying these people are white supremacists. Haha, post, and then dumbasses read it without fucking proof. By the way, if any of you want a real, and I'm talking like real news outlet that will actually give you real facts and proof, go on Instagram and look up Rebel News. There you will find the most important thing: video evidence. Check it out. You'll trust me. You will. If you're smart, you won't regret it.
They're actually following the science from John Hopkins.
Yes, John Hopkins.
They have told me that they plan to stay here until they get exactly what they want. But I can say it's quieter here than it has been for at least a dozen days. That's because a judge has issued an injunction, so there's no more honking allowed, but that has not stopped.
No more honking. Like, I swear to God, Canadians are the only people who, when they say no more honking, they actually stop. If this was the U.S., they would have kept on honking. But anyway, like they're literally doing anything they can to just take whatever they can away from them. Like, okay, what else do they have that we can take? Oh, the trucks actually have horns. Okay, everybody go and disconnect those horns. No, just put in a law to make so that they can't press their fucking horn. Okay.
The revving of these engines, and as you mentioned, these
And they've switched to revving the engines. Not as loud as honking, but hey.
protesters, they have vowed to stay on the ground here until the COVID-19 vaccine mandates and other restrictions are lifted. Meanwhile, late last night, there was an emergency meeting in the House of Commons after the city of Ottawa declared a state of emergency with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
That's true, by the way. Trudeau was actually there. He finally stepped back in Parliament. Wow, fucking prick. Now we're going to check out how Tucker Carlson destroyed him.
Is threatened to criminally investigate the California company GoFundMe because truckers raised about $10 million on the platform.
So, for those of you who forgot what happened with GoFundMe, the corrupt money-raising website that only raises money for, let's just say, organizations that are violent, but they don't want to admit are violence, BLM, they decided to lie and say that the truckers are being violent, which they're not, and decided to freeze the money, more like seize the money. They actually froze it a couple days ago, but now they're seizing the money, and we're actually going to they actually said that they were going to give the money to other organizations that they believe are not violent. Can you imagine which organization that is, by the way? Yeah, you'll see there's more.
Here's Ottawa's police chief bragging about stealing that money.
So, before I play this, what I definitely need to play for you is a clip from a video I made last week. Listen to what I said here. To be transparent. So, their excuse for freezing the fund is that, oh, it's not transparent. Listen, you may have tricked stupid people, but intelligent people know for a fact the actual reason why you froze the funds is because you're trying to make it so that truckers have no money while they're doing the convoy and give up. That's why you're actually doing it. But Matt, you're delusional, Matt. You're a conspiracy theorist. What the organizer said was true. They just need to be transparent on where the money is going. Funny thing is, even when I made this video, she had already done that. And then they released part of the money. And then, when the money went all the way up to $10 million, this happened.
We have, through the efforts of Deputy Bell, Christian Hinault, the mayor and his staff, we've been able to shut down the GoFundMe program. That's a temporary reprieve because the funds are already moving in different directions. We are now going after supply and fuel coming into the area through investigations and intelligence operations and interdictions.
The mayor of Ottawa literally admitting that the money was not stopped because of anything the truckers actually did wrong, but it was actually stopped because the mayor of Ottawa told GoFundMe to do it. Bragging, we have successfully taken the money. You fucking piece of fucking shit. You miserable, disgusting pile of cunt. You are the worst human being on the planet. And then to not only take $10 million sent by real Canadians to real Canadians who are being peaceful and trying to save our country, you did it just so that they couldn't get supplies? And it gets worse, by the way, because at first, GoFundMe was literally going to take the money and just give it to whatever organization that they felt like, which would obviously be BLM. Then they said, okay, well, actually what we'll do is, if the people who sent the money press the refund button, you can have it back. But they said, if you don't press the button within, I think they gave them just 2 weeks to do it, then they're going to keep everything else and still send it off anyway. Then, after backlash, they said, okay, we'll do automatic refunds. Fuck GoFundMe.
All of which were underway yesterday, fully underway today.
Intelligence operations? This is a peaceful political protest. No one has shown any evidence to the contrary. It's not a drug trafficking or human trafficking operation. It's not Al-Qaeda. These are Canadian citizens who drive trucks for a living. But they're being treated like a terror group. GoFundMe announced it would redirect the $10 million raised by supporters of the truckers to charities of its choice, presumably BLM, which it has supported since the very beginning. In other words, GoFundMe planned to steal that.
Proving that they have no problem with violence as long as it goes with the narrative. Oh, and I also just want to add that the fact that Fox even showed this Zoom call is incredible. You know that the leftist media would never even show this. They would pretend it doesn't exist. Anything to hide it. But Fox is like, you're getting the truth. Here's the mayor of Ottawa admitting to it. What we have seen from police in Ottawa over the last 2 days has been one of the most disgusting displays that I think most people have ever seen. Over the last 3 weeks, we have seen what is objectively the most peaceful protest in history. But because of Trudeau and his desperation to keep tyrannical power, he has completely destroyed that and turned it around. Completely. And he doesn't care about how anybody feels about it. Over the last 3 weeks, he and the media has done every single thing in their power to tear down this protest and what it stood for. Because, in his own words, he said that he will do literally anything to end this protest. Literally anything. Except end the mandates. The one thing they want is the one thing that he's not going to do in order to end the protest. He knows that if he just ended the mandates, they go home. But he'll do everything but that. He has called them a fringe minority to give off the impression that nobody cared. Then he called it an emergency when he had to admit that most people do in fact care. The mainstream media went there multiple times to lie about what's going on. They avoided filming them being peaceful, but sent in feds to act crazy and then filmed that and said it was the peaceful protesters doing it, such as climbing statues and all kinds of other crazy behavior. They lied about them vandalizing the Terry Fox statue because they had no real substance, when in reality, all they did was place a Canadian flag on the statue, which is more closely honoring since Terry Fox was a proud Canadian himself. Then when they realized it's disrespectful to put anything on a statue, even if it's a Canadian flag, they started cleaning it, but the media didn't cover that video at all. Meanwhile, no one says a word when Black Lives Matter literally tears down and breaks statues, but we can ignore that as always. They were playing hockey in the streets, cleaning the streets with garbage bags, children playing in the streets, playing with toys, playing in bouncy castles, snowball fights. The first fun a lot of these kids have had in the last 2 years. And then the cops come in and deflated the bouncy castles and destroyed their fun. No happiness allowed in 2022. One swastika was there. The media lied and said that the truckers were Nazis, but in reality, the flag was there to say Trudeau was the Nazi. Giving away free food to everyone who was there, but the media lied and said that they were stealing food from the homeless. At this protest, there have been no attacks, no physical assaults, no injuries, no deaths, and no fires, and no damage to property. But they're talking about the protesters like they're terrorists. Meanwhile, real terrorists like BLM are respected, and their fires are considered fiery but peaceful. Trudeau has called anyone who supports freedom a Nazi, a right-wing extremist, a fascist, a racist, a sexist, and every other buzzword SJWs use on anybody who disagrees with their narrative like they do all the time. They blocked truckers, took their food, took their gas, took their supplies, froze funds from GoFundMe, GiveSendGo, Bitcoin, and even froze people's personal bank accounts. Took the kids' bouncy castles, took their toys, threatened to take the kids away from their parents, threatened to take their pets, pepper sprayed innocent people, towed trucks away, ticketed people, arrested people, scared people, and so much more. All because they stood there and said, "Please give me my freedom back. Please give me my life back." This all happened because they fought against tyranny. Fighting against tyranny in Canada. You would honestly think that we're in China or something. And I want to explain something to the people who may not get it. A lot of crazy and uninformed people might say, well, why let it get to this point? They might say, if you know you're going to be arrested, attacked, pepper sprayed, brutalized by a cop, etc., why even stay? Why not just run away? Go home, get in your car, drive off, right? Before I answer the question, I love how that logic is never applied to BLM, but people might ask that question. Why even stay there if you know it's going to happen? Why let it happen to you? Well, I can explain this question very easily. The reason is because these are people who are fighting for what is left in their lives. These are people who, for the last 2 years, have been lied to by their government, living in tyranny, lockdown, and communism. These are people who wanted nothing more than to get their lives back. These are parents who are sick of not being able to give their kids a proper life. Kids should not have to grow up at like 2, 3, 4 years old, this early in their lives, and already being forced to stay home all day, every day. Social skills and all that are not as important for a 30-year-old because you've already developed them. But when you're a child and you are developing things like your social skills and all that, it is extremely important to go to school and socialize with other kids and teachers in person. It is extremely important for a kid to be able to see the smiles on people's faces, especially their parents, without a mask covering it. And these parents know that in order to give their kids a proper life, they must do things like have fun, play with toys, leave the house, see a smile on someone's face. Kids cannot grow a life or any kind of skills if they're just sitting at home locked in their room on a tablet all day. They must be able to develop real skills in person with other people. But it's not just the kids. It's just our lives in general. We have completely lost all of our lives. People are doing it for their kids. They are doing it for their jobs. They are doing it for themselves. They are doing it for their home, their family, to pay rent. They are doing it for everything. And because of us losing so much in our lives, they decided to go to Ottawa and stay there for 3 weeks in minus 20 degree weather in the heart of February a Canadian February. For those of you who don't know, February in Canada is the coldest month of the year. These people were ready to give up everything if it meant fighting for their lives back. That's why they didn't just leave at the first sign of a cop pepper spraying them or hitting them with one of their riot clubs or whatever. Because we've been through far more than that the last 2 years, and they know that. They knew that if they had any chance of getting their freedom back, they had to put everything on the line for it. That's why they did it. And while in Ottawa, we saw nothing but peacefulness. And we have video proof of it. If you're one of those lunatics who just wants to read articles about what happened, it's no wonder you think that these people are the rioters. But in reality, this is what Ottawa was actually like. This is what our government and the mainstream media and Justin Trudeau thinks violence is. Or we have this lunatic referring to it as
this carnival of chaos has...
A carnival of chaos. Well, let's take a look at the carnival of chaos. Credit to Memology for this video, by the way.
allowed to continue.
Wow, look at the chaos. Look at that, so violent. A woman crying to a cop, and well, you'll see.
I'm Daniel. She turned a year old Christmas Eve, and her.
She's talking to these cops right here about how I believe her daughter or someone in her family died, and pay attention to this cop's face, okay?
Her father died January 1st, and her uncle died July 29th. And my son Jake had another little girl born in May. My two granddaughters will never have a father. You know, their little 4-year-old nephew, Jake used to call him nephew Asher. And after Jake died, he said to his mother, "I'm so sad, I'll not be anybody's nephew anymore. That's why I'm here."
That's why I'm here. Listen to those words.
They killed my son.
You guys are actually breaking the law.
Now, this female cop right here, looking at her face, I see a thought going through her head. And that thought is my paycheck worth what I am doing to people like this? I think some of these cops do have a conscience. I think they do have a heart. They are standing there because they were ordered to, not because they want to. I think at least some of these cops are on the side of the protesters, but they have to choose between supporting freedom and the protesters or following orders and making their paycheck. And I think that's what she is thinking right now.
Oh my God, I would stand up.
Look at her. She honestly looks like she's on the verge of crying. She's thinking like, should I honestly take off my riot gear and switch sides?
For you any day, I would, and you know these boys would defend you or your children any day. Kane took so many homeless people home and helped them. Please stand up for freedom. Please stand up for the oaths you took, for the constitutional, for the criminal.
This is what we're facing.
Please take them away. May I ask where all the... Do you mind if I ask where the protester supplies are going?
Pardon me? If they're unclaimed abandoned goods, so they're going to be tossed at the dump.
You can't give that away to the homeless?
Pardon me?
You're throwing that in the garbage. You can't give it to the homeless?
No, I can't.
But isn't that a bit weird? You can't give it to homeless people and you're going to throw away what was donated to...
You can feel free to go around and let everybody else know that the tent, you can go donate them to the homeless.
Well, you just told everyone that you're throwing away what could be donated to homeless people on...
So if you don't know what happened here, this is fucking disgusting. The cops were stealing the truckers' supplies, and the cop just admitted that they were ordered to take the supplies and throw them to the dump. When the guy filming asked, well, if you're not going to let us have them, can you at least give them to the homeless? They said, no, we're not giving it to the homeless. How disgusting. How fucking disgusting. But it's not over yet. Here's what happened most recently. When the first sign of violence finally did happen at the protest. But it wasn't from the protesters.
Oh, come on through. Come on through. What is happening here? Wow, what is this lady doing? Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it. Stop it. What? Oh my God. They just trampled this lady. They just trampled that lady. They just fully trampled that lady. They just fully trampled that lady.
This is what they have turned the protest into. Just because these people were being peaceful and wanting their lives back, the cops said nope, brought in horses and literally trampled people with fucking horses. And that's not even including the police brutality with their riot clubs, or this. Pepper spraying innocent fucking people.
Pepper spray is out. Hold her.
While some of the protesters in the background desperately sing "O Canada."
Hold my hand. Ain't nobody has one. Second casualty on me. Ask me. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. This way.
This is a dictatorship. For those of you who don't understand, this is an actual dictatorship. This is the kind of stuff that you would see in China or like North Korea or something. This is what you see. If people in like North Korea are protesting, saying, please give me my family back, please give me my freedom back, or whatever, they will come in, beat them up, pepper spray them, attack them, abuse them. There has been no violence at all from the protesters, but the cops are doing this. Do you get it? Do you people get it at all, what we are living in?
Oh God, my brother.
Go take a rest.
Look at that.
Really? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Shame!
Look at that.
Shame!
Look how they operate.
Shame! Fucking!
Look at that. Wow. That's the place we live. We need to get up to the other line.
Honestly, man, so many of these videos are so fucking hard to watch. And I reiterate again, 4 people like this idiot right here who in the comments said, you've been given 3 weeks to protest. The city of Ottawa has suffered enough. First of all, it's important to point out that most of the city actually hasn't suffered at all. While Trudeau says that Ottawa businesses are suffering, a lot of the people who were on camera being filmed in their businesses said in their own words that because of the protest, they have never sold so much food. But okay, sure, whatever. The point is, though, you can't fucking say things like you've been given 3 weeks. Because the goal of the protest has not happened. Has our freedom been returned? Has the mandates ended? No. These cops were sent in to do this and abuse, the correct word is abuse protesters. The cops were sent in to do that to maintain tyranny. And let it go down in the history books. May you never forget why this happened. all because Canadians said, "I want my freedom back," and our tyrannical government said, "No."
One giant narrative. It's kind of like a movie, and it's been that way all along, where they bring the cameras here. It's like a big film set. They bring all the police, they point the cameras where they want, and then they provoke, they push us. It's been peaceful the whole time, the last 3 weeks. Yesterday, we were all peaceful here. The police were the ones pushing. And most of the police they seem like just people doing their job. It's a tough job, probably the toughest days of their career. But what's happening here is not being what's told in the media, and literally it is a movie. They have a narrative. They're following Trudeau's hate that's dividing us, and thank God there are some media outlets that are actually reporting on what's going on. Last night, I witnessed a cameraman from Global literally violently shove someone, turn on the camera, and then the reporter get on camera. That literally happened. Thankfully, someone was filming it, and they reported it and are pressing charges against that cameraman. But what we're seeing here is the media that's taking part in this division to fool people across this country, across the world, about what's happening. And what's happening here is we're not being divided. We're actually coming together as one, which is what the government's afraid of. So people need to wake up to actually realize what this is about. This isn't a racist movement. What's happening is we're just being divided again.
Mr. Speaker, I've never seen such shameful and dishonorable remarks coming from this Prime Minister. My great-grandfather flew over 30 missions over Nazi Germany. My great-great-uncle's body lies at the bottom of the English Channel. There are members of this Conservative caucus who are the descendants of victims of the Holocaust. For the Prime Minister to accuse any colleague in this House of standing with the swastika is shameful. I'm giving the Prime Minister an opportunity. I'm calling on him to unreservedly apologize for this shameful remark.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve their freedoms back. Mr. Speaker, these illegal blockades that have continued to interfere with people's livelihoods, to interfere with people's daily lives,
I have to interrupt the Honourable Prime Minister, so ask everyone to calm down so we can hear the answer. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the measures put forward in this Emergencies Act are proportional, are responsible, and quite frankly, are completely folded within the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The steps that we are taking are important and measured to restore order and freedoms to Canadians in this country. That is exactly what we are doing.
Well, member for Sturgeon River, Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, the lack of an apology from that Prime Minister speaks volumes. I have given this Prime Minister an opportunity to retract a shameful remark where he would accuse any honorable member of this House to stand with a swastika. As I said before, we have colleagues who are the descendants of victims of the Holocaust. I'm giving the Prime Minister one more chance. Will he apologize to all members of this House?
That's the right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, even as the members of the Conservative Party are calling to us to take more action over the past 2 weeks on this, they continued to stand with and encourage these illegal blockades. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are watching carefully and see exactly where the Conservative politicians who've stood with those blockades are standing. We will stand on the side of Canadians who deserve their lives back, who deserve their livelihoods back.
Member for Sturgeon River, Parkland.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker. I didn't write these out. But the fact is, I don't know how any member of the government caucus can stand by this Prime Minister when he accuses honourable members of this House of standing with a swastika. I'm calling on all members of the Liberal caucus to denounce the Prime Minister. I have given him 2 chances to apologize. He has refused to apologize. Mr. Prime Minister, apologize.
The right honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. These illegal blockades have been going on in Ottawa for 20 days now. People have been interrupted in their daily lives, have been made to feel fearful, have been made to miss shifts at their work across southern Ontario. These are things that cannot be stood for, which is why we're moving forward with a responsible set of measures to allow the local police jurisdiction to do their jobs. We continue to defend freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, as long as it's peaceful and legal, Mr. Speaker.
You fucking piece of goddamn shit! You! Fuck you!
I have said it before. I have videos talking about this. Go watch them. Where I have proven that SJWs, the mainstream media, and the government wants divisiveness more than anything. The reason that they have been calling this thing violent for the last 3 weeks is because they know it isn't. And they know that by calling it that and convincing stupid people that that's what it is, they can create division. There is nothing that the government fears more than people uniting. Nothing. Being divisive is what fuels fear, control, and brainwashing tactics. That's why they fear unity. They did everything in their power to end this protest because they feared people coming together for what they wanted, what they needed, and the overall greater good. They thought years of media brainwashing and race relations and restarting the race war and all the other craziness that's been going on the last 10 years, they thought that was enough, that people would never unite again. Until now. And they were scared of unity, because it takes unity to overthrow tyranny. And when they saw it, they enacted tyranny on the peaceful unity to destroy it. And they succeeded. We will not let these efforts go unnoticed, but we are all deeply saddened and in pain for the fact that the government has shown their direct, true colors. Instead of dividing people and dressing it up as whatever craziness they wanted, instead they just went straight in and said, yup, we're tyrants. Too fucking bad. Okay, so I don't know how many of you people look at Justin Trudeau's Twitter, but it is a fucking goldmine for comedy and stupidity. He retweeted this fucking stupidity a couple days ago, and I just thought I had to immediately show it to you. Ottawa businesses have been devastated by the unlawful blockades. Right. That's why people who were in Ottawa and were filming like restaurant owners and saying, hey, have you lost business, gained business, is your business exactly the same? Every single one has actually had their business go up, because when there's been protesters and truckers and farmers and everybody there for 3 freaking weeks, eventually those people need to eat. So actually, the majority of the restaurants who stayed open were literally on camera saying, actually, I've never had business this good ever. And the ones who shut down, well, of course they lost business because they shut down. But here's the main question. Is that the protesters' fault? No, it isn't. You see, here's what actually happened and the reason that they shut down. The ones who shut down because they were told to shut down by Justin Trudeau. Yes, he literally told them to shut down. And then when they shut down, he blamed the truckers for them fucking shutting down, even though he told them to. Now, why did he tell them to? He told the people of Ottawa that truckers and protesters are so violent and evil, and for your safety, please shut your businesses. Even though I must reiterate that for the 3 weeks they were there were absolutely no attacks, no assaults, no fires, no businesses being shut down, no property damage, nothing. Nothing. But as we know, if you do something properly, and if you're peaceful, you're automatically considered violent, and if you actually are violent, then you're considered peaceful, like Black Lives Matter. I'm pretty sure if Trudeau saw a building on fire by BLM, he would have said, what's the problem? Go in there. What? What's the problem? You don't support black businesses? You don't support black businesses, you fucking racist? It's just on fire. You can still buy some product. That is a black-owned business. And that fire was set by a black person. So it's perfectly fine to go in there and buy some product. I know the product's on fire, but hey, support black businesses. And then he looks at Ottawa and says, wow, look at those violent kids playing in bouncy castles and serving free food. How fucking dare they? Those violent pieces of shit. For your safety, close your doors. Whatever. Fucking idiot. Absolute idiot. In an already challenging time for our small and local businesses, yeah, pretend to care, you piece of shit. These blockades have forced business owners to close their doors or drastically reduced operations. No, again, Trudeau forced them to close by tricking them into believing that there's violence outside the door, but the ones that did stay open, their business boomed like crazy. And here's a meme that perfectly illustrates exactly what he really did. Trudeau demands protesters stop shutting down city so that he can shut down the city. And in case you're not understanding the meme, that's literally what he did. You see, when he was lamenting, going, stop that protest, you people are violent, emergency act. A couple times, one of his favorite lines were, these protests need to stop so that businesses can reopen, right? It's important to fucking note that even after the protest ended, he kept the Emergency Act going. That's number one. The Emergency Act is still going on to this day, even though they're not there anymore. And two, he has not only is the Emergency Act still going on for no reason other than his power and ego, but he's even considered that area of Ottawa to be a red zone, which means no one can go there unless they live there and can prove it. Residents of Ottawa are being stopped from walking through that area unless they can provide proof saying, here's my address. And if they can't, because if they left their ID at home or something, they literally get harassed by cops, just like a police state, and I've literally seen videos of it. So, hey, people of Ottawa that did not support the protest, are you happy? Because now the truckers are gone, but you still can't walk around that area. You're being stopped by police just for living there, and you're not allowed to walk through without proof that you live there. And you're literally being treated like a police state. So tell me, what was worse? The truckers honking and dancing, or it now being turned into a police state because of Justin Trudeau's ego? I think the second one is worse, but what the fuck do I know? I only have 123 IQ. Anyway, But we must explain the irony here. So, the point of this is, the Emergency Act is still going, and it's now considered a red zone, which means the businesses still can't open back up anyway. That's the point. That's what the meme is trying to say. He wants the protests to stop so that they're not shut down by the protesters, or more accurately, still by him, but he's just using the protesters as an excuse. And then when they leave, he kept them shut down anyway. What a fucking asshole. What a fucking asshole. It is actually shocking that he can be this much of a fucking asshole. And if you are actually a person who genuinely thinks that all of this is still for people's health and safety, you are honestly so stupid. I genuinely have to question how you are capable of getting out of bed in the morning and putting your pants on. Honestly, I have to ask, if you believe that this is still about people's health and safety and is somehow in your brain not about Justin Trudeau's ego, tyranny, and power trip, how the fuck do you function in daily life? Do you open up your fridge door and walk into it? You have to have a functionality problem. Let's even read now. The comments on this retweet are some of the greatest things on the planet. I've seen business after business close because 2 weeks turned into 2 years to stop the spread. People's lives forever ruined with pointless mandates, correct? And closures, all that money spent on CERB could have gone straight to healthcare. We could have built dozens of new hospitals. Let me get this right. 2 years of lockdowns kept small businesses afloat and prosperous, but 2 weeks of protest closed them down? Not sure I understand why they would have to close their doors. Can you explain why? Yeah, because Justin Trudeau forced them to and then blamed it on the protesters. Oh look, as I pass by a video of the cops acting like complete lunatics. You're fully aware that Trudeau and the mayor told those businesses to close. Those that stayed open did great business and had no issues. Most of the blockades were police, also directed by the government. People could freely walk anywhere at any time they chose. And, as I just mentioned, because I literally saw videos of it, now they actually can't walk anywhere because police are questioning everybody to ask if they live there. And then look at this idiot. Okay, this guy has to be like 10. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership and restoring order and upholding the law. Okay. Truckers went through the same loss of livelihood when you blocked/mandated them. If we live in Canada, we treat each other as equal. You at the top do not. In the words used against Chandler Bing, you're so far past the line is a dot to you.